Hi, I'm Mariusz Bargielski,
And I'm Tamara Jones.
and today we have another wonderful guest. She's a model, she's an actress, she's an influencer, she's mother labor right advocate, and she's global ecology, environmental advocate, and social justice advocate. Ladies and gentlemen, Brana Dane. Welcome.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Brana. So let's start from the beginning. So you were born in South California, grew up in Vancouver, Canada, but went to school actually in Switzerland.
Yes, exactly. So I started my career later in New York, and I just, I wanted to come to the big city and have more opportunity. And I've really fallen in love with the arts and living here.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that because you are a model, you are influencer, but also you're artist. But let's start from the modeling. So how, for the very, very young person, was your beginning of the modeling, especially in New York, which is very, very tough city?
Yeah, so while I was scouted in Canada when I was like 14 or something, by the top agent there, I didn't start with him. I started later on, which is in part good, in part bad. Uh, it's interesting starting your career in New York City because most people come from somewhere else and already have their book built up.
Mm.
So you in New York City here, there's so many scam artists. There's so many people who are waiting to take advantage of you. There's a lot of people that you have to be on the lookout for. And it was a little bit interesting navigating that reality. Yeah.
I know it is tough, especially in your world, right? The modeling world. But for the very young person, you are very, very aware of everything, or that came actually like you were just learning the business.
No, I was learning as I went. So that's what, I had to have all these experiences to really learn the business from the inside out. So now I have a wealth of knowledge, but I talk to other girls who are just starting out and they don't know basic things. They don't know actually even the commission structure that the agencies have. So that's part of the reason that I've gotten involved with different groups that are trying to improve the conditions for models because it's not that models should have more rights than others. It's just that these things are so basic, yet that anyone else would take for granted. It's not taken for granted. It's not actually happening. Like you have 24 hours advance notice of where you're going the next day. Like it's not necessarily that way at all.
I know, and partially it's probably the problem because you don't have the union, right? And we had different people from our industry, from the film television industry. And when we talk about the industry, everybody thinks that everything is unionized, everything is put on a paper, but it's actually not. And a lot of people, when they don't have the union, it's very tough even to demand your rights. So you're going and you have to either sign the contract or just give up the work because they have another 5, 10, 100 girls that you can do it, for almost for free because what they want to be famous. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So, I mean, it's very interesting, the types of things that we're trying to work on, like the most basic things, like don't have a sign-on fee and commission caps and things like this.
What would be your advice for very young girls who come to this industry and they're very, very excited? Because obviously this is fun in the beginning. At least it looks from outside that this is fun in life, right? You are a model, everybody takes the pictures, you're taking the pictures on the walls, there are some articles in the press. But yes, this is this danger, and the especially young girls, they should know about that in the beginning, right? This is not just a fun.
Yeah, I mean, my advice would be just not to get into the party lifestyle. I mean, networking is great and I love to have a good time, but I know, that's what I'm doing. I'm going out and I'm having a good time. A lot of people will lie to you when you're young and naive and say that you have to come here, you have to go there because I know this person, I know that person, and they're just promoters making money off of you. And
Mm.
when you don't know any better, that's, it can be tricky.
Tell me, is it even possible that the, especially youngers, let's say, I don't know, 16, 17, probably we're talking about them, can they really even listen to you and your advice? Or I should say, okay, they will listen to you because you are model, you like them. But if anybody else tried to give them the advice, would they even listen to them at this point?
Well, it is hard. You get a lot of different advice from different people who don't really know what they're talking about a lot of the time. So I I feel for them and um, myself even now, it's hard to know who to take advice from sometimes because everyone has an opinion and they have conflicting opinions. And so you have to really know how to discern who has your best interest at heart.
Let's talk about the ecology and environmental advocate because that's something it's very close to you.
Yeah, so I care a lot about sustainability and taking care of the environment because we all are part of the environment. We rely on the environment for our health, for our well-being, and for future generations, it's very important. So, the challenge for me is I'm not a scientist, but I like to learn about various things about regenerative farming practices and keeping the soil healthy and mineral rich and all these nutritious things. And then, fashion is a big polluter if depending how the clothes are produced and disposed of. That's why I'm a big proponent of producing clothing as sustainably as possible. No company is ever going to be 100% perfect or sustainable. So, I think any step in the right direction is great.
Do you think already the step was made the past 5, 10 years? I remember there was the fight not using the cosmetics which were based on the research on the animals. So now there's more and more companies who try to use everything organic, not animal based, right? So what about the clothing too? The people take this whole thing seriously and in right direction, or
Well, actually, I think there's more awareness. So I think the awareness is going in the right direction, but I think we're actually producing more clothing than ever before. We're approaching fashion as a more disposable practice than ever before. This is partly driven by influencer culture that, we don't want to be seen in the same outfit twice. So it's actually, two conflicting things are coming together. And so it's driving, even though people are aware of the cost, still production is going up and that's creating a lot of waste. And the waterways have dye in them and it's really bad for the water supply in certain areas. And it's just overall very wasteful, and there's not a lot of streams of recycling for all the clothing that we throw away, even though uh, people donate it, but it doesn't really get appropriately used.
right? And I know you advocate for actually buying the secondhand clothes so you can save. It is very interesting because during the pandemic, so many stores were closed, and then suddenly people didn't complain about the clothes, and that was fine. So we can actually live our lives without having the tons of the clothes in our cabinets.
Yeah, that was such a strange time. And then I remember coming out of the lockdowns and everything, and I was so confused. What should I wear? I'm like, what's in style now? Is it the same as before? Like, what's going on? And I was so confused because I was looking and I was seeing online that things were in style, but I'm like, but I haven't seen this on the street.
I do love your principles in clothing. Is there anything that, like, certain principles that you use while you're shopping now that other people can kind of mimic that would be a step in the right direction of like how you look for clothing and what the healthiest types of clothing are, etc.?
Yeah, so actually there are a lot of resources that you can use. Good on You is one that is helpful. It rates brands for consumers, and then Tencel is a very good fabric. I've actually partnered with them in the past for Instagram sponsorship. They are a low waste fabric that they use in place of cotton, I believe. It's certain garments. So yeah, I mean, you just kind of learn as you go, and the easiest, simplest thing for me is to keep your garments longer and take better care of them, mend them, buy classics that you know you will like still in several years, get things from other people that are good quality. And that's what I actually love about secondhand things is that they're usually things that are very good quality and the sticker's been taken off. You don't have to worry about it like at the tiniest scratch or something. It's already been broken in. It's not perfect already. It's something that you can just enjoy and live in.
Let's talk a little bit about the social justice. Or what do you think, like what could be done better, especially in the modeling or influencer environment?
When you were talking about job security, I think that's basically where all the issues stem from. I think, you know, most people in fashion have good intentions and they're trying to just do a good job. You know, the client's trying to make a good advertisement or move the product and is trying to treat everyone well. And, you know, the agency is trying to get work for their models and the models trying to show up on time and do a good job. So I think in general, everyone's trying to do a good job. It's just the incentives are sort of backwards because when something goes wrong, it's all gets projected on the model because there's no job security and the client is put ahead of the well-being of the model sometimes. So just financially speaking, the client is more valuable to the agencies a lot of the time than the model. So they will put the client or the photographer or whomever above the model, even if they are acting inappropriately, from what I've heard. So that's an issue because there's no streamlined process of making a complaint to anyone. So I think there needs to be some way to make a complaint that is where it's not possible to retaliate against the model.
Yeah, it is very sensitive subject. But you think it is better or not really?
No, I think it's better. I mean, obviously it changes based on where you are in your career too. But I think it has gotten better. I think since things have been in the media, like the Me Too movement, the sexual abuse cases, people have taken that more seriously. I think since it came out in the media about how models were expected to just strip down naked in front of everyone, they started demanding sheets or little changing areas. That became a lot better. And now it's more voluntary. Like I honestly have no problem if I feel like I'm not forced to be changing in front of people. But you know, it should be voluntary.
Yeah.
So that has improved like considerably. So there have been a lot of improvements since I've been modeling.
Right. What about diversity? Do you think?
Oh my God, diversity is, I mean, I can't speak for that, but diversity has improved considerably. Yeah.
So it's very similar to TV and film. In the modeling, in this aspect, was much faster. Diversity came, and they have more rights.
Yes, I mean, I can't really speak to this again, but I believe that during the pandemic, because of BLM, there was a huge shift towards diversity. So I think that definitely it was a faster change, but I don't have your experiences to compare.
For people who are out there, whether they want to get into the industry or whether they've like always wondered about the industry, could you walk us through like what is the reality of a model's life? Like what's going on? What's your day to day? What does that even entail for the people who would be wondering out there? And then I think we should move on with what you would like to see.
The day-to-day of a model is you just potentially will do self-tapes, or you will have an in-person go-see or casting, and you will get ready for that. You will, take pictures, submit, go to the next casting, and then you will wait to hear back. You'll get the job, or you won't, or you'll get the next job. So yeah, you're always going to somewhere new. You're always kind of figuring out the next address. You're always having to update your book with different photographers, no matter how long you've been modeling. You always have to have fresh, current images. So that's something that a lot of people don't realize. And you have to stay in shape and be consistent with your measurements and all that sort of thing. So that's the basics of it. We're moving into is basically more protections, just basic protections in the relationships between models and their agencies or clients through this Fashion Workers Act, which, I didn't write. I was a little bit questioning at first because of certain large bonds that they had to pay to the government to be part of this. But ultimately, I think it does make sense because it's only for the larger agencies that have to pay the bond. And I think these are much needed protections that are very basic, like I said, that most people would take for granted that they're not even happening. But they are happening, like not knowing where you're going or not having any information about the job, like the rate. Like I can't tell you how many castings I've been sent or have had friends being sent where you don't even know the rate of pay you're going to potentially get if you get the job. But I mean, I have been lucky to work with good people, so that hasn't happened to me very much, but it's happened to more of my friends when I'm meeting them and I'll be like, oh, did you know this is how much you're getting paid? And they'll be like, no, they didn't tell me that.
Well, now we see, compared to our industry, how lucky we are that we're working with the unions. Everything has to be listed, the project, exactly what you're doing. Obviously, in actors' case, it will be the character they plays, but also how many days, and definitely the rate. So nobody will send you for anything if they don't know the rate, right? So it is big difference. So, but tell me, is it? I mean, like years ago, it was this push, especially with the model's weight, that they have to have certain weight, they have to be very skinny. Is still the same thing right now?
I think it's still similar. It's a little bit of a dichotomy, like you have to be either really skinny or plus size. So if you're naturally either of those sizes, that's great. That's beautiful, but I don't think if you're not naturally those sizes, that it's healthy. So I think it would be great to have a more naturally slender, but not super skinny standard, like maybe a size 4 instead of a size 02. That would be, I think, a little bit more reasonable.
But do you think this whole trend with the skinny models is just in US or that's all over the world? Is the same thing all over, like in Europe and?
I think it does depend on where you are, but I think it is also all over the world. I mean, I know, say in Turkey, they prefer like maybe size 4-6 models, but it's not usually what people talk about when they're saying what size should models be.
You are doing the advocacy and you have those things that you are focused on. Were you a part of these groups or thinking of this advocacy around the time of the pandemic, and how did that affect both your modeling career and your other side passions of advocacy?
Yeah, so during the pandemic, it was a little bit difficult, but I actually was very active online. I had a Clubhouse AMA show weekly with I think like 40,000 members in it. So we interviewed Merle Levend. She's a open water swimmer and environmental activist for, mainly focusing on the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And we had different people on like that. And then I also did a protest for the Uyghur slave labor in the fashion industry in 2021. And that was successfully, as much as we can be assured that it was stopped, it was stopped. I did a lot on my social media with different sponsorships with sustainable brands like Natural Nuance bags, which are really amazing. They're very fastidious about the dyes they use and, all stages of the production. A lot of things like that online.
Whole world tried to put the prices down. Obviously, the manufacturers always will be looking for the cheapest place to produce. So what do you think, what could be done actually? The most manufacturers, they run away from US. Everything is done either in South America or Asia. Do you think it's something could be done? And then if it's in Asia, we don't even know how old those workers are. They could decay.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it sounds counterintuitive, but actually the bigger the company is and the more profit they have, the more inefficient they are and the more wasteful they seem to be. So a very common sense solution would literally be to prop up small businesses in the US that are trying to produce clothing.
Right.
Or not prop up the large businesses that are outsourcing to Asia for the production.
I know, because there are not that many companies in US that they produce anything at this point. And we're not talking about the furniture, so electronics, just the clothing. And it will be very...
Because, that's why they're going over there partially too, because they don't have the same environmental protection laws we have. So they can get around that. Are
there any plans for the future that you see with your work, both in your modeling career and your advocacy groups that you're in? What are the plans and how can people follow along if they're interested?
Well, you can follow me on my Instagram at Brana Dane. I also have a website, branadane.com. And if you go /magazine, then I have a lot of articles that I write on a regular basis, a lot of self-improvement tips. And then there is a small sustainability section. I'm also looking for writers currently to help me out with that. So if anyone would like to contribute, yeah.
We didn't talk actually about, we started in the beginning, but you're the artist. And what really interesting is, so you paint also the models.
Yes, I do.
Let us know more about that.
So yeah, just more as a hobby. I've had some small shows and things like that, but I paint, just for my enjoyment mostly. I love nudes. I love Lucian Freud. I think his portraits are really evocative and capture the subject really well. Mm-hmm. And so I have done acrylic on canvas, and then I also do this very fun sort of application live on a model, and then I'll take digitals of that and it'll be an abstract nude photography basically of my painting.
And also you write the poems.
Yes. So I've had several poems published in paperback and some online. So I get inspired by different things. Like I'll read a phrase sometimes that will inspire me. Sometimes I just will get in the mood to write a poem. Again, I just do it when the mood strikes, but usually there's a theme of spirituality or higher connection throughout my poetry.
So tell us, if you're not working and you're working all the time, so what do you usually like to do in your free time?
You know what? I have a lot of friends, and I love to, take part in New York City life and meet new people. I love the arts, so I'll go explore other people's art.
And it's not better town than New York for the arts, actually. So there's so many great places.
Yeah, exactly. I love to cook also. Yeah, I love eating. Basic stuff there.
Yeah.
I'm a Cancer, so I love the home also. Is to home, have a nice meal.
It's nothing better than a home food.
True.
Thank you so much. And we wish you all the best, of course,
Yes.
with your advocacy. And also, we want to wish you all the best in acting because you starting your acting career as well.
Yes, yes. So that's one thing we forgot to mention is that I do a weekly talk show for this FNL network, basically a bunch of friends getting together and over Zoom.
That's interesting.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate
Thank you
that.
very much. It's a pleasure.